the world's greatest detective, the man who beat Ra's al Ghul in hand-to-hand combat, the man who trampled against his opponent even when his body gave out, the man who the world relies on if the alien from Krypton needs to be stopped, Batman. And over many years, Batman has always been recognized for many great accomplishments to which most wouldn't consider him to be a mere mortal.
There's nothing mere about that mortal.
For his astonishing combat, intelligence, and ingenuity, his resume of skills and accomplishments may go on. With this, Batman is feared or respected by many of his foes, allies, and even us audiences because what we are always reminded of is that Batman is just a man with sheer will. As writers do their best to represent this human side to Batman, to which the readers gravely appeal to him most when represented. But what could be more human than failure? Jason Todd. Now known for being the infamous Red Hood, Batman and Bruce Wayne's greatest failure. In the early 2010s, many popular animated Batman films were produced, or even before, as there are Batman The Dark Knight Returns Part 1 and 2, Batman Year 1, Batman Gotham Knight, and Batman Killing Joke. The list could go on, but precisely in 2010, when I was 7 years old, I was introduced to an animated film, Batman Under the Red Hood, to when I was introduced to Batman's greatest failure. My younger self was astonished by this movie so much that I would rewatch it plentiful times getting older, where now I have even bought the interactive movie that was released in 2020. Besides all the self-connections I can make to the movie, it's best if I snap back towards the breakdown of the movie and what happened that appealed us audiences. Other than Batman and Jason's quarrel, throughout the movie, everything else was thought out. All the characters gave some sort of significance towards the two. The first example of this is Ra's al Ghul. Him being the reason for Jason's death due to hiring the Joker as a distraction for Batman as Ra's al Ghul scheme his plan. But what Ra's didn't account for is the lengths that Joker would pursue, causing the death of Jason Todd. And later, Ra's al Ghul would take accountability for this death. With this accountability, Ra's wanted to give the detective back his son. And as we know, Ra's isn't afraid to shed blood, but only to pursue his goals. Goals that persuade to higher agenda or pursue to higher agenda for most of it. And Jason's passing was just unjustifiable brutality to Ra's. As it's obvious of the other characters that gave significance to the two, as the Joker, who always tested Batman to push his morals, Nightwing, the first son, the golden boy. Speaking of Nightwing, a little detail I've noted: when Batman began to suspicion of Jason being the Red Hood, Batman dismissed Nightwing right away from any further assistance. Being obvious as it is, the whole movie is set up for Jason and Batman's dispute between the two goals. Jason's return of the Red Hood isn't to only put an end to criminals for good. Jason wants to have control over Gotham's crime. Jason being born and raised through the crime sets him to believe in full spirit of conflict between men and conflict between the laws, always arising. To which this ideology is thoroughly thought out to the current world events today, as many people break or find loops around the law to best suit their own lifestyle or adjust beyond the limitations that the law gives them. And most do so because they believe in full spirit that conflict would arise or laws are meant to be broken. Humans have been more gray than black and white for eons now. To most, selling drugs is their process of obtaining wealth. Unfortunately, that money isn't clean. Drugs have an abstaining consequence for people's health, to even mental health causing addictions, or even worse, with this consequence are sold towards the more poverty areas, which conclude to many cycling disasters. And now to reel back into the two, Batman and Jason. This ideology puts Batman goals in a pursuit towards a crime to conflict with Jason inevitably. And as we all know, the Dark Knight set out to fight crime, put fear in all criminals to create hope for the future of Gotham and end its major crimes. Batman does all of this without the K word nor guns. Batman implements this to be a better than what he fights against, giving people more hope through restraint and discipline. So with the two, and their morals has put them against each other, leaving them have their famous rooftop to apartment fight. Where I have to say, my younger self loved Batman giving Jason the work, but I was always on Jason's side back when I was younger. That's until I saw Batman make Jason feed him the wall. He fed Jason the wall, the bathtub, the sink, and even a damn toilet. But okay. Batman didn't only destroy Jason physically during this fight, but he has said some little verbally crazy stuff too. After he was handing Jason the whole bathroom, he tells Jason that he'll never be better than him. I would never beef with this man, Batman. Just never. After the fight has been concluded, leaving Batman the obvious winner, Jason demonstrates that the fight wasn't the only thing Jason wanted to give Batman, revealing a beaten and tied up Joker. To summarize the scene, Jason desperately asks Batman why he wouldn't put an end to the Joker's madness after his own death. Jason didn't only mention his death, but many other innocents, and even the crippling of their dearest friend, Barbara Gordon. Before this scene, I had never understood why Batman didn't just put an end to the Joker, but after deciphering this scene in different series of Batman, I had finally concluded it is easy for Batman to start, but it would never have been to stop. Batman may not be nearly insane as the criminals he has faced, but there still relies some insanity in him that helps him pursue his identity as the Batman. But if allowing himself to finally kill would just be an onslaught for most, or it would contradict his purpose and promise he made for the people of Gotham and his loved ones. Jason doesn't realize this due to still looking at Batman as a father figure or idol, to which later in the comics or in other continuities, Jason realizes insanity to Batman, or this great flaw to Batman, which allows him to fight besides him once more. But back to the movie. Jason gives Batman an ultimatum between the Joker's life or his own, as in Jason's. But of course, the brilliant Batman finds another solution that favors his ideology or endeavors. There is more to the scene and the ending of the movie, but I'll let you, the amazing audience, attend that to yourself. But to conclude our analysis, Red Hood is admittedly, by Batman and Jason themselves, Batman's greatest failure. And to my retrospective, Red Hood is Batman's greatest failure, of course, but he is also Batman's reality check for the identity of Batman. It's the grave final flaw or the raw humanity of Batman. Not Bruce Wayne, but Batman. Even though Batman, the mask is really Bruce Wayne. As mentioned before, there is an interactive version of this movie, so this would be only part 1 of Under the Red Hood video. I'll be dissecting the interactive movie with the different endings. I don't know if I will have it all the endings in one video and the analysis towards that in the retrospective, or how it leads to Batman and the connections to itself. I'm not too certain yet, but I will come to a conclusion later on. It's one or the other. I don't think I would drag it out with all the endings for different videos. I'll probably just have it in one, so it wouldn't be so tedious.